Thank you for listening to this bonus episode of Pressers by FedNet on the transition to the 119th Congress. Current and incoming leaders of the New Democrat Coalition held a news conference with new leadership on November 21st.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good to see all of you. I'm Congresswoman Annie Kuster, the current chair of the New Democrat Coalition, and thank you for joining us as we announce this morning our New Dem leadership team for the 119th Congress. And welcome 23, we may have 24, looking around we may get 25 later in the day, New Dem members-elect. I've served as the chair of the New Democrat Coalition for the last 2 years and represented New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District for the last 12 years. Before I turn it over to our new incoming chair, Congressman Brad Schneider of Illinois, and our vice chairs, let me say a few words about my experience at New Dems. I will be retiring from Congress at the end of this year, but I couldn't think of a better way to cap off my career on Capitol Hill than to lead what I like to call the Can-Do Caucus. Over the last decade, I've watched our organization reach new heights. Not only are we bigger than ever before, but heading into the 119th Congress, we will include 108 or even 9 or even 10 members of the House Democratic Caucus. And we will be more than half the House Democratic Caucus as New Dems. Our membership is more diverse than ever before. We cover every corner of the country, urban, suburban, rural, red states, blue states, purple states like mine. And as we like to say, our diversity is our strength, but our unity is our power. And we have been a powerful voice within the House Democratic Caucus. From coastal and rural communities to suburban and urban districts, New Dems' different backgrounds and shared common interests give our approach to politics a powerful, powerful voice. Let me be clear. There is a reason that New Dem ranks continue to grow, even during a very tough year for Democrats. Our pragmatic approach to politics and our economy-first messaging worked in red, blue, and purple districts alike. As a result, New Dems have denied House Republicans an effective governing majority for the upcoming Congress. As we look to the next 2 years and the future of the Democratic Party, we should learn from these candidates, for our current New Dem frontline candidates who prevailed in their seats, and the New Dems who delivered both inside and outside of Congress, by focusing on the issues that matter most to the American people. We ran on lowering costs, improving safety and security, including securing our border, on reproductive freedom, and on democracy. And we won everywhere. I'm so proud of the work that we've accomplished together, from the CHIPS and Science Act to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill and the Inflation Reduction Act, to saving our economy from collapse with the when we fought to make sure that we would not, what's the word I'm looking for, Brad? I'm sorry, excuse me, on the debt ceiling. I apologize. We look forward to seeing how our members will build and protect this progress, and now it is my honor to pass the torch to the new chair of the New Democrat Coalition, Brad Schneider, and to our new vice chairs, Nikki Baczynski, Salud Carbajal, Josh Harder, and Mark Veazey.
Incoming Chairman Brad Schneider of Illinois.
Good morning. I am so pleased to be here. I am honored and excited to have been chosen by my colleagues to chair the New Democrat Coalition in the 119th Congress. And I want to first thank my predecessor, Annie Kuster, for her extraordinary work in leading the New Dems throughout the 118th Congress, keeping us united in a common purpose a united cause and working to make a significant and positive difference for the American people. I also want to congratulate our incoming vice chairs. Being a vice chair for the past term has been a great honor and privilege. I was happy to join Sharice Davids, Salud Carbajal, and Derek Kilmer. And I'm excited in the coming Congress to be working with Nikki Budzinski, Salud Carbajal again, Josh Harder, and Mark Vesey, as well as our freshman representative, Kristen McDonald-Rivet. This is a fabulous team that I know is going to do fabulous things leading the New Democrat Coalition. As Annie mentioned, New Democrats, as the tide flowed against us in the recent election, for the New Dems, we push forward. In fact, New Dems not only helped re-elect 85 of our returning members, we're bringing in 23 or maybe 24 or maybe 25 new members of the coalition. We will total 108 to 110 members of the coalition in the new Congress for the first time, meaning New Dems will be a majority of the Democratic caucus. New Dems' message and our ability to listen to and hear what voters were telling us, to understand what they wanted us to do in Washington to make their lives at home better, is the key to our success. And I think having that understanding and the breadth and diversity of our coalition is going to help us bring Democrats back into the majority into the next Congress in 2026. We know what voters are looking for. We know how to tackle their challenges. New Dems have long been the caucus, the coalition that gets things done, that rolls up our sleeves. We work with the entire Democratic caucus and we reach our hands across the aisle to find solutions, bipartisan solutions that serve our nation. But we've also always been the majority makers and will continue to do that. I look forward to doing that in the future. I also look forward to supporting our leadership. Hakeem Jeffries, Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar. They held our caucus united over the last 2 years, and I have no doubt that they will continue to do so in the 119th Congress. And I can speak for all 108, 109, or 110 New Dem members. We stand united with our leadership and are excited to work with our entire Democratic caucus colleagues to put the interests of our nation first and foremost, to stand up from the extremism we see from the other side, to hold this administration accountable to protecting the Constitution, to observing our laws, and to treating all Americans as a part of our fabric of our nation and people that we can celebrate and protect. Our diversity is our greatest strength. Our unity is always our greatest power. I welcome everyone here who is a part of this new coalition. We have 23 confirmed new members, hopefully 2 more. They bring a wealth of experience. They bring a whole host of new ideas. They're going to make the New Democratic Coalition even stronger. All of our members will have a chance to succeed. We will help them shine. We will help them make sure that they advance the interests and priorities of the districts they represent. The New Dems are at the center of the future for the Democratic Party and will be at the center of moving our nation forward. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward now to turn it over to our Vice Chair-elect, Nikki Budzinski.
Budzinski was first elected to Congress in 2022.
Good morning. It's great to be with everyone today. I'm excited to have this new opportunity to serve as the New Dems Vice Chair for Policy in the 119th Congress. I want to, first of all, say a huge thank you to our Chair, Annie Kuster, for all of her great work. She has been a tremendous leader for all of us, and I'm looking forward to continuing in a leadership role and building on the great work she did. Since arriving in Congress, New Dems quickly became a home for me, both because of my incredible colleagues, but also the practical approach, often bipartisan, to finding common sense solutions to the challenges and opportunities we face at home. In this next Congress, I believe New Dems is well positioned to continue to grow our influence and ability to produce results. It's why I decided to run for Vice Chair of Policy for the New Dems, as I've worked my entire career to try to bring people together to the table to find common ground. As New Democrats, we believe in working across the party aisle, focusing on the issues that matter most to working people, and delivering real results, and that's even in the minority. As Vice Chair, I will be working with our leadership to find the opportunities to play offense next Congress. We will always fight back to defend our freedoms, of course, but I also believe we can continue the work to find common ground with our colleagues. New Dems also, I believe, must be forward-looking. This Congress, we should be preparing a legislative agenda that is also actionable in 2026 when we take back the House majority. We can do this by building on the tremendous work of the 10 task forces that our New Dem coalition was able to complete and make clear recommendations, often bipartisan, in this Congress. I look forward to collaborating with my fellow vice chairs and with the leadership of our new chair, Brad Schneider. Thank you so much, and I am now going to turn it over to Vice Chair-elect Salud Carbajal.
Carbajal has represented California's 24th congressional district since 2017.
Thank you, Nikki. Good morning. That was kind of weak from the media. Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank our former chair, not former yet, but outgoing chair, should I say, Annie Kuster, for her leadership and really elevating New Dems to what we are today. Thank you, Annie, for your service. Thank you for your leadership. I look forward to working with our new chair, Brad Schneider, who's going to bring a lot to the table, and my fellow vice chairs, Nikki Baczynski, Josh Harder, and Mark Vesey. The result of this election are clear. The New Dem playbook and the agenda are the direction we need to go as a Democratic Party. Don't forget, if the remaining 2 California seats flip, Republicans will have a 1-seat majority in the first 100 days, thanks to New Dems. New Dems are stronger than ever, but we are not just here to be the party of no with the new administration. I was the freshman New Dem standing here 8 years ago. I remember it in 2017 and 2018 too well. New Dems used those years in the wilderness to develop ideas and present an alternative vision for governing. Those ideas won the majority, went on to form things like the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the CHIPS and Science Act, and I could go on and on and on. We will work with anyone who wants to govern to build a better future for Americans. Thank you. And I now will introduce Vice Chair-elect Josh Harder.
Thank you.
Harder was first elected to represent California's 10th district in 2018.
Good morning. Thank you. This may be a summer breeze in New Hampshire or Chicago, but this is freezing cold for those of us in California, so I'll be very brief. It's an honor to be the member-elect for Member Services, and I'm thrilled to have a chance to work with our new chair, Brad Schneider, and my fellow vice chairs. I've lived the values of the New Dems every day. When I first got elected in 2018, we flipped a Republican-held seat with the backing of the New Dem coalition, and I've had a chance to spend the last 2 years as recruitment co-chair alongside Representative Pat Ryan. And so it's so exciting for me to be standing up here with many of our 23, hopefully 25, as you keep hearing, incoming New Dem members that I think are going to bring so much energy, vitality, and wisdom to our Congress this year. I'm excited about this role and the future of New Dems for a couple reasons. First, I think there is no chance, given the dysfunction on the other side of the aisle, that anything can really happen or move forward without working with the New Dem coalition and members of our caucus. We're going to be a huge part of what governance looks like over the next 2 years. I believe we also will be at the heart and center of the effort to retake the House in 2026, and also to make sure that we have a Democratic Party that is listening to our voters, that is responsive to their concerns, and is putting the values and principles of the folks right here behind me at the heart of what we're going to be doing as a Democratic Party in the years to come. That's exactly what the New Dems have been focused on. That's why we were so successful in growing our caucus and coalition to now be, for the first time ever, a majority of Democrats in Congress. And so I'm so excited that our coalition is stronger than ever. I look forward to working with all of you in the 119th Congress. Congress, and let's go out and get it done. Thank you, and with that, I'll leave it over to our Vice Chair-elect, Mark Vesey.
Vesey served in the Texas House of Representatives from 2005 to 2013 before his election to Congress.
Josh, thank you very much. Good morning. Buenos dias to each and every one of you. It's great to be out here with you this morning. And before I get into my comments, I would like to first of all say it has been a privilege and an honor to serve under Annie Custer's leadership. She was my classmate in 2012. We are going to miss her. She has been a great leader for New Dems, and I look forward to also serving under my other classmate, Brad Schneider from Illinois, who has been a longtime friend and who is going to do a great job in leading this organization. I've been honored to be chosen as Vice Chair of Communications for the upcoming Congress for the New Dem Coalition. I want to first of all thank the people of the Fort Worth, Dallas area that have elected me once again to serve in Congress in the 33rd Congressional District. I got to tell you, I'm very proud of this leadership that we have here in New Dems. From California to the Midwest and New York Islands, we have everyone here, this coalition that we've built that is really going to be a real player in the 119th. And I think that the results of this election show our message resonates nationwide, from small business owners to working families, blue-collar workers. New Dems did well across the board. And despite a challenging map, we emerged even stronger with 108 members, including 20 freshmen, and the potential, as was pointed out earlier, for us to add even more to those numbers. America wants pragmatic leadership, and New Dems is what offers pragmatic leaderships here in Washington, D.C. Look, there's going to be a razor-thin majority, and several races, again, still have been uncalled. And so it's essential that our colleagues work across the aisle with us on policies that will improve the lives of everyday Americans. And that includes creating better paying jobs that Americans want. That means lowering energy costs. That means rebuilding our infrastructure, making sure that we ensure that there's access to quality health care to each and every American family. And we have to absolutely push back on any of the disastrous economic policies that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have talked about. When Musk says that the economy has to suffer in order to get better, that's absolutely ludicrous, and we're going to fight against that. And we will always stand firm to defend our democratic values, especially against extremism. And we absolutely have to vote. We have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that people have equal access to the polls. And so I'm excited to help lead this coalition. As the largest Democratic caucus in the House, we are ready to lead on priorities that matter the most to Americans while combating extremism that threatens the values that each and every one of us hold dear. And so with that, thank you very much. I'm going to call Brad back up to the podium here as we get ready to get into some Q&A.
Actually, Kristen McDonald.
Oh, okay. That wasn't in my notes, Chris.
Kristen McDonald Rivet was a Michigan state senator before her 2024 election to join the 119th Congress.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Kristen McDonald Rivet, and I have the honor of being the representation from the freshman class to the New Dem caucus. I want to start by saying that it's been a long 2 weeks of orientation, and my voice is barely there, so my comments are going to be short. But on the very first day where I announced my campaign in a battleground state, in a battleground district, one of the very first phone calls I received was from Chair Annie Custer, who talked with me about, as a state senator, I have been a middle-of-the-road, pragmatic, let's get some things done kind of legislator, and I immediately knew I had my home in the New Dems. What we know is the American people are very frustrated with our political process as a whole. They want to see things move forward. There is a very real economic pain happening across the country, and especially in Michigan, and especially in my district. When I arrived here in Washington, I was so pleased and excited to meet my fellow members who are amazing. We have small business owners, doctors, prosecutors, people who have lived the lives of the constituents that they are representing, who care very much about the direction of our country and ensuring that every single person in the country has an opportunity to get to and stay in the middle class. And at the end of the day, that is why we are here. So there will be a lot of partisan bickering. There will be the dramatic moments. But what we know is that many of those are distractions, and we're here to get something done. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody. So you can see I'm handing off to an outstanding team.
Kuster, Schneider, and Carbajal answered questions.
And just please identify your name and outlet, Max.
Question for you, Congressman Schneider. You mentioned you want to bring Democrats back into the majority. What's the best way for Democrats to do that? Is that by going after Donald Trump each and every day? Or is it by focusing on cable issues? Or is it both?
So thanks for the question. Look, we've been here before. In 2016, when I came back to Congress, having lost re-election in 2014, we had a Trump trifecta there then as well. And we know that the best thing we can do in Congress for the American people is stand strong for our principles, defend the values of the people who elected us, make sure that we support the Constitution and protect the rule of law. What we saw in the first Trump administration looks like it's going to be magnified with this incoming election. The most important thing for us to do is to hold the line here, as we've done in the past, and it's not a but, and to make sure that we are serving our constituents back at home. What the voters told us is they want to be heard. They want to know that we understand and appreciate the challenges they face, economic challenges, challenges of providing health care for their kids, a home for their families, to secure their retirement and have a dignified period after they complete their careers. All of those things that are part of the American dream, we need to make sure are available to all Americans, and something we as Democrats have fought for our entire history as a country. That's what we'll continue to do.
I think it's important, Max, to point out, too, that it's not the mandate that the press has been covering. We have elections still coming in, but it's clear that the vote nationally will be under 50%, and that here in Congress, particularly as the president keeps taking members of the House, at this point, we're on track to elect Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker. So it's going to be very, very close, and that's where New Dems play such a pivotal, important role, keeping the unity in our caucus that we demonstrated throughout the last 2 years under Speaker Johnson and before that Speaker McCarthy, but also working across the aisle wherever possible on more sane policy and fewer distractions. Yes. Yep.
You're saying at least two committees having their ranking members challenged, including one by Jim Costa, who's a member of the New Dems Coalition. I'm just wondering what you make of this trend and whether you think it might be time to revisit some of the caucus rules, like maybe committee chair term limits, like the Republicans have.
Thank you for the question. I think we're seeing a transition of generations taking place. We saw it in the last Congress as Speaker Emerita passed the baton to Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar. And I think you're going to see that continue as new members are coming in. Well, we've talked about we have a class of New Dems, 23 new members. They run a wide range of ages, but we have some younger new members who are coming in who are representing voices from their communities, and we have some members who are closer to my age and representing the voices of our communities as well. As I've always said, our diversity is our strength. This is Nancy Pelosi's mantra that led us through a lot of challenging times. I think the transition will be a positive for our caucus. It will proceed, I have no doubt, with a vibrant and vigorous debate. But I know that it'll also be done, as we do everything in our caucus, with mutual respect for each other, and a commitment to doing what's best for the caucus and for the country.
One thing I would just add, one thing I realized when I was chairing New Dems last cycle, 2/3 of New Dems came to Congress in the class of 2018, 2020, and 2022. With this large class coming in, I would imagine you'll get up to about 4/5 of New Dems. I'll just say for myself as a retiring member, I'm trying to set an example for serving in Congress, doing the work that we were sent here by our constituency to do, but honoring the fact that these younger people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s have tremendous expertise to offer. This class is an extraordinary group of talented, experienced people. And I think our caucus overall will benefit from that. So we're not advocating one way or the other on a change of rule. But Brad spoke well that, we came in the class of 2012. We're proud to see our class finally get to positions of influence and power. Hakeem Jeffries, Catherine Clark. And we'll be proud to work with everyone across the caucus. Yes? Nikki, did you say, or Salud?
So can you all say specifically what potential pieces of legislation that could come up? We know that tax bill is going to be a big priority at the beginning of the year. Is there something that you could point to where perhaps you can work with the Republican and the Trump administration?
Let me go first. I'm going to have Salud, if you will, come and expand on it, but I'll talk about taxes as a member of the Ways and Means Committee. Earlier this week, I was on a forum, a panel with Lloyd Smucker, talking about tax bill and talking about small business. And we both found far more agreement than disagreement. The one point of disagreement, I will tell you, was the Republicans are going to try to run the tax bill through reconciliation, not make any effort. And both of us said, if you want legislation, policies that will stand the test of time, it is better to work across the aisle, Democrats, Republicans, Republicans, and Democrats, to find that compromise that addresses the needs and challenges of a broader sector of our population. In fact, if we can do it for the whole country, it's even best. So I told Kevin Brady 8 years ago that I was gettable on the tax package if we could talk and see what moves forward for my district, as each of our 430 members should do the same. I think there is room for compromise and discussion if the Republicans are willing to have that conversation. I think there's room on just about any issue if we roll up our sleeves, we come to the table with an open mind, and we're willing to do what's best for the country rather than focus on partisan politics at every single move. So far, what we've seen from the Republicans is a desire to move as quickly as they can, all by themselves, borrowing the African proverb, borrowing from that, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The further we can go together, the better it will be for the country. And Salud, I don't know if you want to add to that.
A good example from the campaign trail that's a priority of New Dems is the child tax credit. And I'll just say on behalf of Energy and Commerce Committee, we have, I think, 45 bills that are bipartisan bills that have passed committee that haven't come to the floor because Speaker Johnson said he didn't want the Democrats to have any wins before the election. We could get those all done in December. So there's a lot that can happen.
I think New Dems are pragmatic. We're committed to coupling. New Dems are pragmatic. I think that's our brand. We're willing to govern, and we're willing to compromise when good proposals are put forward. If this incoming administration wants to work in good faith and get beyond their culture wars, extremism, dysfunction, and chaos, we stand ready to work with anyone to get good policy over the finish line to improve the lives of the American people. That's who we are as New Dems. That's our brand, and that's what we want to do. So if there's a sense of good faith and in negotiations on policies, economic policies, whatever the policy is, we stand ready to work. If it's extremism, if it's culture wars, we're going to resist. It's up to the administration to see what kind of collaborative environment they want to establish. And we stand ready to work when it makes sense and they put something forward that makes good sense for the American people.
Great. Anyone else? Go ahead, Nick.
I wanted to ask.
Can you identify yourself, everyone?
Nick with Politico. I wanted to ask you guys about this new oversight subcommittee that the Republicans are standing up for next Congress about DOGE. That looks like it'll be chaired by Marjorie Taylor Greene. What does this portend for working with Republicans?
Do you want to say your last sentence about culture wars? It's not productive.
Taylor Greene sharing it tells you everything.
It's not productive. She didn't come here to work in 2018, and she hasn't been here to work ever since. We're talking about pragmatic members of the Republican House of Representatives that will sit down and talk about policy with us on taxes, on lowering costs, on healthcare for everyone, on lower cost energy and clean energy. There's so many things that we can and should be working together for the American people, and these distractions are not to the benefit of our constituency or of our culture. They're hurtful, they're harmful, and we are here to do the real work.
Catherine Swartz with Notice. Chairman-elect, you talk about holding the line here in the House. I'm wondering how the last 2 years of being in a razor-thin minority have kind of informed New Dem leadership about the role they can play in the incoming Congress.
Thanks. I think it's a great question. Let's look at the last 2 years. And we can talk about the debt ceiling a year and a half ago. We can look back to last September on funding the government, this year on funding the government. When it comes time for literally the rubber to meet the road and Congress to do the absolute necessary things, Republicans have demonstrated time and again that they can't work together amongst themselves with a majority to get it done. They've had to reach across the aisle to the Democrats and say, we need your help. And the Democrats have demonstrated we are the responsible party, willing to put aside the partisan differences and put the interests of the American people first. And relating back to the question about the new subcommittee, New Dems in particular, we'd like to call ourselves the Can-Do Caucus. We want to roll up our sleeves. We're going to work with everyone within our caucus as well as across the aisle who are willing to talk about real solutions, real ideas that move the country forward. And unfortunately, what we're seeing so far from the Republican majority coming in is a focus on culture wars, a focus on finding access to grind and personal vendettas, and a focus on giving people with their own personal agendas platforms to advance their interests and not the people's interests. So I think the lessons we learn is to stay focused on what we know are the priorities of the American people, stand firm, and when it comes time to get the real work done, we'll be ready to get it done.
And not the least of which is keeping the government open. 3 times New Dems stepped up to save the Republican Party from another painful government shutdown. Yep.
Matthew Troy with the Texas Tribune. Congressman Greg Casar, talking about his pitch for CPC leadership, also talks about the need to go away from the culture wars and focus a bit more on kitchen table issues. Can you talk about how the New Dems pitch, I suppose, tesslates or differentiates from the CPC's direction?
So one of the first calls I made after the election last night was to Greg, left a message saying I'm looking forward to working together. And to his credit, he reached out, I think, both to me and Sharice before the election saying the same thing. What unites the Democrats as a caucus is far more than what divides us. You'll hear me say it over and over. We are the moderate caucus. Moderate is a style of getting things done. It's not a position. Our members reflect the wide spectrum of positions of the Democratic caucus, and I'm looking very much forward to working with the Progressive Caucus, and I believe Greg is going to be the leader, and I'm excited to partner with him. And I'm getting the signal that I think that was the last question.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. Good to be with you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this FedNet podcast, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. This program is copyrighted by Federal Network, Incorporated, and provided only for informational and educational purposes. Unauthorized reproduction, distribution, or use of this episode without expressed written permission from FedNet is prohibited. Follow opening day of the 119th Congress, beginning January 3rd at fednet.net.